What's up, Alchemists? Welcome to MTG Alchemy. We're going to hit you with another deck tech today. Coming up. What's going on, everybody? I'm Koi.
And I'm Shelby, also known as Miss Ruby Rogue for all you Twitch streamers out there.
She does have her own stream now on Twitch, streaming every weeknight at 10:30 Central Standard Time.
Yep, so come hang out, join the chat. We have a lot of fun. We mostly jam out to Disney songs, so if you like listening to a really bad singer, come join.
On this channel, we do gameplay videos, how to play videos, and deck techs just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Big shout out to our new sponsor, Gear Gaming in Bentonville and in Fayetteville, and I think they have a store in Birmingham, Alabama now. Thank you guys so much. They've actually enabled us to be able to focus on Magic, focus on our content for you guys. So we really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And if you guys need anything, we're going to be leaving links and stuff in future videos so that you guys can purchase from Gear directly. It's going to be a super cool thing that we got going with them, so make sure you guys stick around for that. Another good way to support the show is by becoming a patron. Patrons are basically what makes the show run as a whole. You guys enable us to buy new hard drives and new lights when they bust, so we really appreciate that. We've had a couple of experiences with that and you patrons are exactly what paid for it, so thank you very much.
All right, and speaking of Patreon, we'd like to give a shout out to one of our patrons, Nicholas Glavor?
From MTGLexicon?
From MTGLexicon. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You guys are awesome. And also, if you're watching, go check out MTGLexicon. They're on YouTube, they're on Twitch, they're on Twitter. They're awesome. Those guys are super cool. We got to hang out with them when we went to Vegas.
We did.
For Magic Fest, and it was a really good time. It was so much fun.
Yes,
so be sure to go check them out, and thank you guys for supporting our channel.
They're very funny, and they are the dive bar of Magic channels.
Yes, they are, and it's so worth it to go watch them. Those guys are awesome.
All right, so today we are going to be going over Prime Speaker Vannifar. This deck tech is actually dedicated to Brad over at the Jank Bank.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a YouTube channel. You guys should go check him out. I'll leave the links to all of the guys we've referenced tonight, tonight for us. I'll leave links to all of those guys down in the description below, so go check them out.
Yeah.
They're really cool. But Brad, this deck tech's for you. Prime Speaker Vannifar is a 4-drop 2/4 legendary creature Elf Ooze Wizard. You can tap Prime Speaker Vannifar, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Alright, so her ability is really cool. So basically what she allows you to do is to tap, sacrifice a 1-drop, and go get a 2-drop.
Yeah.
And then, but here's where it really gets cool. If you can untap Vannifar in the same turn, or multiple times a turn, then you get to go sack a 2-drop to get a 3-drop, and a 3-drop to get a 4-drop, and a 4-drop to get a 5-drop, and a 5-drop to get a 6-drop until you just get a 100-drop, right? Even though there's no 100 drops in the deck. I don't even think they make one of those.
Probably not. But at face value, she doesn't really seem like she'd be that scary, because really you can only tap a creature once per turn for either for an activated ability or to attack.
Exactly.
All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about are the win conditions.
And if you stick around to the end of the video, we're going to give you a secret win condition for the deck. All right, so the first win condition that I want to talk about is called Hulk Out. And basically what this does is it revolves around Protein Hulk. Protein Hulk is a 7-drop 6/6. When Protein Hulk dies, search your library for any number of creature cards with converted mana cost 6 or less and put them onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library.
Oh, that could be a lot of creatures.
Exactly. So what you want to do when you already have plenty of creatures out already is you tap Prime Speaker Vannifar to sacrifice Protein Hulk. So you're going to activate Vannifar's ability, and that ability goes on the stack, and then Protein Hulk will die when it hits the graveyard. That ability goes on the stack. So what you do is you go and get creatures with converted mana cost 6 or less. You go get a whole bunch of 1-drops and even a 0-drop if you're running an Ornithopter in the deck like I am, and you basically just get a ton of creatures, right? So anyways, you get a ton of creatures, and then with Prime Speaker Vannifar's ability, you go get Craterhoof Behemoth. So Craterhoof Behemoth is an 8-drop 5/5 with haste. When Craterhoof Behemoth enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures that you control. And since Craterhoof Behemoth entered the battlefield after all of the other creatures did from Protein Hulk, now they get +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures you control.
Get like +15/+15. Like, that's a stupid amount.
Right,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. So now, let's just say they all get +15/+15 from Craterhoof Behemoth, just rounding out a number there. So then you take one of your lower drops, right? So you'll take a 2-drop and you'll tap Prime Speaker Vannifar to sacrifice the 2-drop to go get the 3-drop Mirror Image, which is a 0/0, but it's a shapeshifter. You may have Mirror Image enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. So you take Mirror Image and you have it enter as a copy of Craterhoof Behemoth. So now they get another +15/+15.
Right, so right now they've got +30/+30.
Pretty much. But what you do after that is you take a 3-drop, and preferably another 3-drop because Mirror Image is a copy of Craterhoof, which has haste.
Right.
So you take a 3-drop and you sacrifice it and you go get Spark Double from the new War of the Sparks set. It's a 4-drop 0/0, but it's an illusion, pretty much a shapeshifter, but it's not an actual shapeshifter. When you may have Spark Double enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except that it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if it's a creature, if it's and an additional loyalty counter if it's a planeswalker, but we're only caring about the creature side. So it enters as another copy of Craterhoof Behemoth, which now they all get another +15/+15, right? So what are we at now? +45?
45.
Right, so...
With an additional, right? Does just that one get an additional?
Well, +45, so that one will get an additional from, because it's Spark Double, so
right.
So 46 now, right?
Either way.
And
That's
then
lethal.
You sacrifice a 4-drop, preferably another 4-drop, since the 2 copies you just casted come in with haste.
Right.
So now you sacrifice another 4-drop, and you go and get God Eternal Ronus, also from War of the Spark. God Eternal Ronus is a 5-drop 5/5 with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, double the power of each other creature you control until end of turn. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. So now they're 45 or 45/45s just from their buffs, not including their base power and toughness, right? So let's just take the 45s.
Right.
Now you're going to double them because of God Eternal Ronus, all of them.
What is that, 90?
So
I think?
So 90 just from
Something
buffs.
like that.
And 3 of them have haste. The other creatures hopefully have been out on the battlefield, and they all have trample, and they all have vigilance.
So there's really no way to stop that unless you have a Settle of the Wreckage in your hand.
Right, like a settle, some sort of
Right,
removal,
because
something crazy like that.
That's lethal for every single person at the table.
Yeah, yes it is.
Every person.
It's an incredible combo. But so this is a combo deck. So now that we've shown you the first win condition, we're going to show you how to get there.
Alright, so this segment is called Rockin' the Mana. Alright, so getting into the ramp part of it, obviously a really good staple for any commander deck is Soul Ring. Tap it, add 2 colorless to your mana pool. The next one, it would be probably Signet. It's an artifact you can tap it to add a green and a blue to your mana pool. It's just good to have a little bit of extra mana to get your stuff out. And then Expedition Map, a 1-drop artifact. You can tap 2, tap it, sacrifice Expedition Map, search your library for a land card, so any land you want out of your deck, super helpful. Reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library.
Other mana rocks that I want to mention briefly is Chrome Mox. I do run a copy of Chrome Mox in there. And it was really cool. I got it in Kansas City. I traded for it. I'm really proud of it. It's a foil Chrome Mox, so it looks beautiful. Anyways, enough gloating. But anyway, so I run a Chrome Mox. It's a 0-drop. When Chrome Mox comes into play, you may remove a non-artifact, non-land card in your hand from the game. The removed card is imprinted on this artifact. So you can tap this, add 1 mana of the imprinted card's colors to your mana pool. The other one is Mana Vault. It's a 1-drop artifact. You can tap it, add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. So on your upkeep, you must pay 4 mana. If you don't, Mana Vault deals 1 damage to you. So you pay 4 mana to untap Mana Vault on your upkeep. All right, so let's talk about some of the land that's in this deck. So the utility lands that I run in this deck are Cavern of Souls, Manemo, School at Water's Edge, and Tolaria West. Cavern of Souls, as Cavern of Souls enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You can tap it to add a colorless, or, even better, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana to only cast a creature spell of the chosen type, and that spell can't be countered. So when Cavern of Souls comes out, you either choose Elf or Ooze or Wizard. That way you can, use your Cavern of Souls to make sure that Vannifar can't be countered, because a lot of people like to counter Vannifar. The next one, Manemo, School at Water's Edge. Legendary land. You can tap it to add a blue to your mana pool, which is really cool. It comes in untapped. And then, or you can tap a blue, tap it, untap target legendary permanent. So you use this to untap Vannifar. Right? And then Tolaria West. Tolaria West enters the battlefield tapped, but you don't really actually ever really play Tolaria West. I think I have maybe twice ever. But you really use it for its transmute effect. So it's transmute. 1 and 2 blue. Discard this card. Search your library for a converted mana cost of 0. Reveal it and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Transmute only as a sorcery. So you can pay 3, go get a 0-drop. Right. So you can pay 3 and go and get your Cavern of Souls, or you can pay 3 and go and get your Chrome Mox. Or if you're really fancy, you can pay 3 and go get a Mana Crypt. So Mana Crypt is a really good one too. I had it in the deck, but then I got rid of it because a bunch of bans were happening and I got scared. So I sold it. But anyways. All right, this segment is called The Path to the Untap.
Ooh.
Kind of deep, right?
A little bit.
All right, so let's take you through the process of which creatures you want to go get to untap Vannifar when they come in, or give you some way to untap Vannifar. Right,
and ultimately lead you to Protein Hulk.
Exactly. So that's exactly what we want to do. We want to go all the way up the food chain, as it were, and get to your Protein Hulk so that you can Hulk out. So we're going to start with the 1-drops. Quarian Ranger and Arbor Elf.
So Quarian Ranger, it's a 1-drop green, and you can return a forest you control to owner's hand, untap target creature. Use this ability only once each turn. So you can bounce a forest back to your hand and untap target creature.
Right, or Arbor Elf is a 1-drop 1/1, and it doesn't untap Vannifar per se, but it does untap a forest.
Right.
And the reason I put that in this category is because if you can untap a forest, you can untap like Breeding Pool. So if you can untap Breeding Pool, you can use that. If you have School at Water's Edge out, you can use that to untap Vannifar.
All right, so now let's go over the 2-drops. We've got Seeker of Skybreak, Scrib Ranger, and Kiora's Follower.
So Seeker of Skybreak, again, is a 2-drop 2/1, and you can tap it to untap target creature. Pretty self-explanatory.
Pretty simple, yeah. The next one's Scrib Ranger, 2-drop. It's a 1/1 with Flash. It's a flyer, protection from blue. Return a forest you control to its owner's hand, untap target creature. Play this ability only once per turn. So it's kind of like the 1-drop we just talked about, except that it's got Flash and flying and protection from blue.
Exactly.
Oh, and then we've got Kiora's Follower, also 2-drop 2/2. You can tap it to untap another target permanent, so it doesn't necessarily have to be Vannifar. It can be something else that you need. It
can be a land. It can be. You can also use that to untap Mana Vault. Just real quick, it's called Cloud of Fairies. It's also a 2-drop. It's a 2-drop 1/1. When Cloud of Fairies enters play, it's an older card, but when Cloud of Fairies comes into play, untap 2 lands. It's pretty cool because it's essentially free. Right, and it's got cycling, so you can actually cycle it for 2. So it's definitely got a little bit of versatility there.
All right, so now we're going to get into the 3-drops. We've got Pestermite, Bounding Krasis, Vizier of Tumbling Sands, and Deceiver Exarch. Pestermite, 3-drop flash flying 2/1. When Pestermite enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap target permanent, which doesn't even say permanent you control. So that could be anybody's anything.
It could be anything.
Yeah, anything on the battlefield.
Anything.
Anybody's battlefield. That's crazy. Bounding Krasis also has flash. When it enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap target creature. It's a 3-drop 3/3, so not any permanent, but target creature. So if someone has a blocker up and you want to swing,
Yeah.
it's a good idea. Vizier of Tumbling Sands, 3-drop 1/3. You can tap it, untap another target permanent. You can cycle for 2. And when you cycle Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untap target permanent. So essentially this card just untaps a target permanent. Alright, so the next one, Deceiver of Exarch, 3-drop 1/4 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. Untap target permanent you control or tap target permanent an opponent controls.
Alright, so now we're going to go over a couple of 4-drops and a 5-drop. So, Breaching Hippocamp, Fate Stitcher, and Peregrine Drake. Breaching Hippocamp is a 4-drop 3/2 horsefish. It's got flash. When Breaching Hippocamp enters the battlefield, untap another target creature you control. Fate Stitcher is a 4-drop 1/2. You may tap it to untap another target permanent, so it can be anything, anything on the battlefield. But remember, all of these cards' sole purpose is to untap Vannifar. What's really cool about Fate Stitcher also, though, is that you can it has an Unearth, which is 1 blue. Return this creature from the graveyard to play. It gains haste. Remove it from the game at the end of turn, or if it would leave play. Unearth only as a sorcery. So, but it's really cool because you can bring it out, and it has haste as soon as it comes out from the graveyard. So it gives you another way to untap Vannifar even faster. And then Peregrine Drake. The reason I put this in there is because it's really super, I know it doesn't seem like it, but this is a super, super good card. So it's a 5-drop 2/3 with flying. When Peregrine Drake enters the battlefield, untap up to 5 lands. So what's cool about that is it just says 5 lands. So you can use your School at Water's Edge to untap Vannifar. You can add all of your mana to your mana pool, or 5 or 3 or whatever it may be, and then play Peregrine Drake, and then untap those lands, right? So it's very, very cool and a very good interaction. All right, so just at the end here, I wanted to give you guys a couple of pieces that can really make the deck pop and even potentially make it go infinite. So Intruder Alarm is a 3-drop enchantment. Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps, but whenever a creature comes into play, untap all creatures. So whenever you're sacrificing a creature and bringing another one in, everything is untapping.
Yep, so it's just untapping Vannifar over and over.
Yeah, you're untapping Vannifar constantly and constantly. The other one, and probably even better one, I want to say, is a Thornbite Staff. You guys let me know if it's better down in the comments, but Thornbite Staff is a 2-drop tribal artifact. Shaman equipment. Equipped creature has 2. Tap. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature or player. And whenever it specifically says and then whenever a creature is put into the graveyard from play, untap this creature. And then its bottom text really doesn't matter, but whenever a shaman creature comes into play, you may attach Thornbite Staff to it. Its equip cost is 4. But what's really cool about Thornbite Staff, you attach it to Vannifar, you tap Vannifar to sacrifice a creature. Because you sacrificed a creature and the creature hit the graveyard, now you get to untap Vannifar infinitely.
Right, yeah.
Right? So you can cycle through all of the creatures in your deck to get to the creatures that you need to get to win the game.
Just go crazy on everyone.
Go crazy and Hulk out, right?
Yep.
Okay, and so while we're on the topic of hulking out, I just want to mention real fast a few ways that you can give Vannifar haste. So I also have 1,000-Year Elixir, Swiftfoot Boots, and Lightning Greaves in the deck. 1,000-Year Elixir is a 3-drop artifact. You may activate this. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. Tap 1, tap it, and untap target creature. So it's a very, very good utility. Swiftfoot Boots, you all know what that does. It's a 2-drop artifact. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Equip 1. Lightning Greaves is arguably better, but I'll let you guys decide that in the comments. Lightning Greaves is a 2-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creature has haste and shroud. Equipped 0.
I think it could go both ways.
And
I don't know.
and one surprise here at the end is Concordant Crossroads. It's a 1-drop enchant world. Yes, it's that old. It's just a fancy way for saying enchantment.
That's cool.
But creatures can attack or use abilities that include tap in the activation cost as soon as it comes into play on their controller's side, which basically just means creatures have haste.
Yeah, so that's a very long way to say creatures have haste.
Exactly, but it's a 1-drop enchantment. All creatures have haste. So keep in mind that that is all creatures. That is not just yours, that is theirs too, which makes it, which is kind of the double-edged sword because of the 1-drop cost, right? So yeah, so those are really good to use to be able to activate Vannifar as soon as she comes out. All right, so we're going to go over some creatures that add a little extra value to the deck, so that way every time you play a spell, you're getting some sort of value out of it. All right, so a couple of cards that I put in here just for extra value is a couple of pseudo fetch cards, right? So Trophy Mage and Trinket Mage, they're both 3-drops. But Trinket Mage is a 3-drop 2/2 human wizard. When Trinket Mage enters the battlefield, you may go search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less. Reveal that card, put it into your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. So it's a way to either go get like Mana Vault or Chrome Mox, all that kind of stuff, just so you can get some mana, force some mana ramp out there. Trophy Mage is actually in the deck for 1 card and 1 card only. So Trophy Mage is a 3-drop 2/2 human wizard. When Trophy Mage enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost of 3. Reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. So you go and get 1,000-Year Elixir with Trophy Mage because it's really the only 3-drop artifact. And that gives, kind of a pseudo haste to Vannifar, right?
Right. So you want to counter that anytime you can.
A couple of cards that another couple of cards that I put in here that I thought were kind of funny. Was Sower of Temptation. Sower of Temptation is a 4-drop fairy wizard. When Sower of Temptation enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature for as long as Sower of Temptation remains on the battlefield. What's really cool about this is you can use this to go steal somebody else's creature that's being a problem for you.
Yeah, you definitely did that to the Gitrog monster
right.
last time I played against Vannifar. So,
exactly.
Did not appreciate.
So you go and get a creature that is causing a problem for you, and you can either use that creature against your opponent, or you can just kill
sacrifice it to Vannifar.
Right, so you can tap Vannifar, sacrifice it, and then go get another creature you need.
Both are really dumb options, just so you know.
But if you're the one playing the deck, it's a lot of fun. So the other one that I'd put in here is Time Reversal. Time Reversal is a 5-drop sorcery. Each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his or her library, then draws 7 cards, exile Time Reversal. Yes, I thought about putting like Kozilek, or something in the deck, but with this deck you really don't want the game to run that long, and Kozilek is such a high drop. You can't get to him with Vannifar.
Right. Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense.
Almost impossible.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to put him in the deck, but at least there's something in there to shuffle your graveyard back into your library.
Right.
All right. As promised, the secret win condition. Here it is. The secret alternate ending. Right?
Alternate win code.
Right, the alternate ending. So what you can do is you can use Vannifar's ability, but here's how you have to do it. You have to do it in a specific order. So you have to find a way to get Hapless Researcher. Hapless Researcher is a 1-drop 1/1. Sacrifice Hapless Researcher, draw a card, then discard a card from your hand. And then Laboratory Maniac. So go get Laboratory Maniacs, the 3-drop 2/2 human wizard. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. Now you have a 4-drop. Okay, you have a 4-drop on the table. You sacrifice the 4-drop to Vannifar to go get a 5-drop 10/10 called Leveler. Artifact creature. When Leveler enters play, remove your library from the game. So, it works like this. You play Hapless, you put out Hapless Researcher, you put out Laboratory Maniac, you sacrifice another creature, another 4-drop to go get Leveler. Leveler comes in, you remove your library from the game, which means you have no cards to draw from, and then you sacrifice Hapless Researcher to force yourself to draw and then discard a card, but you cannot draw, and you win the game.
Alright you guys, so thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, got some value out of it, make sure you smash that like button and share it with
smash
your
the
friends.
crap out of that like button. Anyways, guys, we really appreciate you watching the video. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time on MTG Alchemy. On MTG Alchemy.
I keep hitting my face.